the roots of the music. Have you listened to a lot of Celtic?
I think Dolores Keane has the most wonderful voice I've ever heard, and I've listened to her quite a bit. And I'd say June Tabor and the Fisher Family. Of anyone in the band, I listen to the most folk music, and listening to it and singing along with it for so many years, I'm sure it's affected the way that I sing.
So are you sort of the main influence then as far as the music that's played in the band?
No, not necessarily. That's just my contribution.
And whose contribution is the reggae? Because I know you do a lot of sort of reggae or calypso too.
Well, we all love that sort of music too. John, who's quit the band, was the true reggae lover. His collection was really extensive. And he introduced us to lots of music that... Rob really enjoys country music and blues, which I think we cover every aspect of the musical spectrum, because we all listen to... And I don't strictly listen to just music of the British Isles either. I listen to all sorts.
Yeah, well, I think that's why I enjoyed your show so much, because it was, it wasn't like sort of... Sometimes you go to a concert and it's like one song, one continuous song.
Throughout the entire evening.
Yeah.
I'd be bored if I was on stage doing that too.
But not only did the sort of the genres, but also the pacing kept changing at all times.
Right. Well, we're really conscious of that. We even time all our songs and count the beats per minute. And if we have too many songs that are 132, which is the standard speed that I always write at, I sometimes force myself to write something slower or faster.
You got 2 albums out so far. You got the last one, The Wishing Chair, was like the Elektra debut or major label debut. And you're working on another one?
Right, we're recording right now in Los Angeles with Peter Asher. This will be our second major label release, but we also had 2 independent releases on a label that we originally... It was a collectively owned label. Our families and ourselves owned it. There was an album called Secrets of the Yijing, and there was an EP with 5 songs called Human Conflict No. 5, which came out, I think, in 1982. Then the following year, The Secrets.
So what do you see for the future?
Well, I'm not very good at looking too far into the future. I see finishing this album and then touring. I'd love to tour again in England and Europe. That's the main thing I'm in this for, is touring to exotic places, which we haven't done in 2 years. We haven't been overseas.
But you were over in England.
We toured the entire country. We didn't go into Scotland. We didn't go to Ireland, but we stayed in England and we toured quite a bit. A lot of universities. It was wonderful. It seems like in America, well, it's different on the West Coast. There's different trees and there's the coast and the different temperature, but essentially America is really homogeneous. Could I say that?
But I imagine that your music would probably be better accepted over there than here. But are you getting a lot of commercial airplay here?
Not really. The Wishing Chair came out over a year ago, and it's pretty much died out in intensity. I don't see it heavy on any programming list in the past 8 months even. That's why we're really anxious to make the new record, but according to our contract, we're obligated to a new album almost every 9 months, but we decided that it was more important to write an album of quality than just to meet our quota. And it hasn't, that theory hasn't met any opposition from the company either. They agree. They don't want us putting out mediocre records.
Now, when you're doing the record, the actual recording and then in the later stages of the mixing and that, will the idea of sort of airplay be in the back of everybody's minds?
Well, the main thing we think of is, does this song move us? That's the main criterion. If it doesn't, then we don't do it. And we're pretty difficult judges of what we do. It has to pass the approval of all 5 of us before we even play it for a producer or for the company. I'm sure the producer has that in mind because he's being paid by the company to ensure the fact that the album could stand up to playing. I don't think the Wishing Chair sounds as dynamic on the radio as it does at home on my own stereo. I can hear a drop when I hear it between 2 songs that are really well produced. Not that Joe didn't produce it well. I think it's a well produced record, but it's not very contemporary sounding. And I prefer it to be a bit more contemporary sounding, so it has strength on the radio. So I think I have no problem with thousands of people hearing our music. That's why I'm making it, partially because I want people to hear it. I don't have any kind of snobbish attitude toward the radio. Actually, we listened to the radio all day today, and our favorite songs were all 20 years old. It was really sad because I think contemporary music, what I've heard on the radio since I've been here, is really pathetic, and I'd like to contribute something that people would find refreshing.